The Academy doubted her strength. Then she lifted a starship hull with bare hands. Part 1. The Arrival. The transport ship shook as it entered the docking bay of Station Helix 7, held onto the metal bar above her seat, and watched through the small window. The station was massive. It stretched across the black space like a silver city floating among the stars. Thousands of lights blinked on its surface. Ships moved in and out like tiny insects around a hive. She was finally here. The Galactic Union Military Academy, the most famous military school in the known galaxy, and she was the first human to ever enter its Vanguard Combat Division. The transport landed with a heavy thud. The doors opened and cold recycled air rushed inside, grabbed her single bag and stepped out onto the metal platform. Around her, cadets of many species walked in different directions. Some were tall and covered in scales. Others had 4 arms or skin that changed colors. A few floated instead of walked. And then there was her, small, quiet human. She stood at only 160 centimeters. Her black hair was tied back in a simple ponytail. Her uniform was the standard gray given to all new cadets, but it hung loose on her thin frame. She looked like a child standing among giants. The whisper started immediately. "Is that a human?" a voice said from somewhere behind her. "In Vanguard Division, impossible. Look at her, she would break in half during basic training." Heard every word. She kept her face calm and walked forward. Her brother had warned her about this. He was a decorated pilot in the Union fleet, one of the few humans to earn respect among the alien species. He had recommended her for the Academy. "They will doubt you," had told her before she left Earth. "They will laugh at you. They think humans are weak. Do not show them everything. Not yet. Let them underestimate you." She had promised him she would be patient. The orientation hall was a massive room with seats rising up like stairs on all sides. Hundreds of new cadets sat in groups divided by species. The tall reptilian beings with thick green scales sat in the front. They were known as the strongest warriors in the galaxy. Behind them sat the species with hard shells and sharp claws. The who looked almost like humans but with pale blue skin and white eyes sat quietly in the middle rows. Found a seat in the back corner. No other humans were in the Vanguard Division. A few worked in engineering or medical support elsewhere on the station, but combat training was considered too dangerous for her species. A loud horn sound filled the room. Everyone became silent. Commander walked onto the stage. He was standing over 3 meters tall. His scales were dark green, almost black, and old scars covered his arms and face. His yellow eyes scanned the room slowly. When he spoke, his voice was deep like thunder. "Welcome to the Vanguard Combat Division," he said. "You are here because your governments believe you have potential. I do not care what they believe. I only care what you can prove." He paused and looked around the room. "In this division, we train the best soldiers in the galaxy. Many of you will fail. Many will quit. Some may die. That is the price of excellence." Listened carefully. Her heart beat steady and calm. Commander continued, "This year, we have cadets from 12 different species." He listed several more names. Then he stopped and looked directly at the back corner where sat. "And for the first time, we have a human in Vanguard Division." Every head in the room turned to look at her. Hundreds of alien eyes stared. Some looked curious. Most looked doubtful. A few laughed quietly. Commander walked closer to her section. "Stand up, human." Stood, she kept her back straight and her eyes forward. "What is your name?" the commander asked. "Sir." He repeated her name like he was tasting something strange. "Tell me, do you know why there has never been a human in Vanguard Division before?" "No, sir." "Because humans are weak." He said it simply, like he was stating a basic fact. "Your bones are fragile. Your muscles are small. Your species has only been part of the Galactic Union for 60 years. You are children compared to races that have traveled the stars for thousands of years." The room was completely silent. "So tell me," Commander continued, "why should I waste resources training someone who will only slow down her squad?" Looked up at the massive. He was 3 times her height and probably 10 times her weight. His claws could cut through metal. His scales could stop bullets. "I am here to learn, sir," she said quietly. "I will do my best not to slow anyone down." Commander stared at her for a long moment. Then he made a sound that might have been a laugh. "We will see, little human. We will see." He turned and walked back to the stage. The orientation continued, but could feel the eyes still watching her. She sat back down and kept her face empty of emotion. After the orientation ended, cadets filed out to find their assigned quarters. Checked her information pad. Her room was in Section G, the oldest part of the station. The hallways there were narrow and poorly lit. The walls had rust stains. The air smelled like old metal. Her room was small, with 2 beds, a tiny bathroom, and a single window that looked out at nothing but the station's outer hull. The bed on the left already had belongings on it. Her roommate had arrived first. The door opened behind her. A young woman walked in. She was human, with short hair and kind eyes. She wore the white uniform of the medical division. "Oh, you must be my roommate," the woman said with a warm smile. "I am, Medical Support Division. You are the Vanguard cadet everyone is talking about, right?" Nodded, "I am. I heard what happened at orientation. Commander is known for being harsh, especially to new species. Do not let him break your spirit." "I will not," said. Sat on her bed and looked at with curiosity. "Can I ask you something? Why did you join Vanguard? Medical or engineering would have been easier, safer." Set her bag down and pulled out a small photograph. It showed a farmhouse on a green mountain with an old woman standing in front of it. "My grandmother raised me on this farm in Provence. Every day I carried water up the mountain. Every day I worked the fields. Every day I grew stronger." She looked at the photo for a moment, then put it carefully next to her bed. "My grandmother always said that the strongest trees grow on the steepest mountains. I did not come here for easy or safe. I came here to show what humans can do." Smiled, "I think I like you." That night lay in her bed and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow the real training would begin. The tests, the competitions, the pain. They thought she was weak. They thought she would break. They did not know about Earth's gravity. They did not know about the weight she had carried her entire life. They did not know that every step she had ever taken was like walking through water compared to this station's light artificial gravity. They did not know anything about humans at all. Closed her eyes and smiled in the darkness. Let them doubt, she thought, let them laugh. When the time comes, they will understand. And that time was coming soon. The Academy doubted her strength. Then she lifted a Starship hull with bare hands. Part 2, the testing ground. The first week of training was brutal. Every morning at 5, a loud alarm woke the cadets. They had 10 minutes to dress and report to the training grounds. Anyone who was late had to run extra laps around the station's outer ring. The ring was 4 kilometers long. Was never late. The training grounds were a massive open area in the center of the station. The floor was made of special material that could change its hardness. Sometimes it was soft like sand. Sometimes it was hard like stone. Sometimes it moved and shook like an earthquake. On the first day, the cadets did physical assessments. They tested strength, speed, endurance, and reflexes. Machines measured everything. Every number was recorded and ranked. Stood in line with the other Vanguard cadets. Most of them were twice her size. They had muscles like thick ropes under their scales. They had 4 powerful arms and legs that could jump 10 meters high. Even the who looked closest to humans were taller and broader than her. The first test was the lifting machine. Cadets had to lift a heavy bar from the ground to above their heads. The machine added weight after each successful lift. A named went first. He lifted 800 kilograms easily. The watching cadets nodded with respect. A named Thresh went next. His hard shell clicked as he moved. He lifted 750 kilograms and made an angry sound when he could not beat the score. He looked at with as many eyes as he walked past her. "Good luck," he said. His voice was like metal scraping metal. "Try not to hurt yourself." When's turn came, the room grew quiet. Everyone wanted to see how the human would fail. She walked to the bar. It was set to 100 kilograms, the minimum starting weight. The machine expected her to struggle even with this. Looked at the bar. She knew she could lift much more. On Earth, she had carried water tanks up mountain paths. Each tank weighed 50 kilograms. She carried 2 at a time. The gravity on Earth was almost 3 times stronger than this station's artificial gravity. But her brother's words echoed in her mind. "Do not show them everything. Not yet." She grabbed the bar and lifted it slowly. She pretended to struggle. Her arms shook a little. She pushed it above her head and set it down. The machine added weight, 150 kilograms. She lifted it again, moving slowly, breathing hard. 200 kilograms. She made her face look strained. 250 kilograms. She dropped the bar and stepped back, pretending she had reached her limit. The score was recorded. It was the lowest in the Vanguard division, but higher than the expected human maximum. The cadets laughed quietly. Commander made a note on his data pad and said nothing. Walked back to the waiting area. She kept her face calm. A human man approached her. He had a friendly face and wore the gray uniform of the engineering division. "That was impressive," he said. "For a human, I mean. I am engineering support." She replied, "I know, everyone knows." Looked around at the alien cadets, then back at her. "You held back, didn't you?" Did not answer. Smiled. "I thought so. I saw your muscle tension. You were not even close to your limit. Why hide your strength?" "The river that reveals its depth invites fishermen," said quietly. "My grandmother taught me that." "Your grandmother sounds wise." She was. The tests continued for 3 more days. Running, climbing, swimming, combat reflexes. In every test, performed just above human expectations but far below the other species. She was always last or near last in the rankings. The other cadets stopped paying attention to her. She was not worth their time. She was just the weak little human who would probably quit before the month ended. Only a few people watched her carefully. Instructor Myra was a woman with pale blue skin and silver hair. She taught combat tactics and had been a soldier for 40 years. She noticed that movements were too controlled, too precise. When pretended to be tired, her breathing was still even. When she pretended to struggle, her core muscles stayed relaxed. Myra said nothing, but she watched. Thresh, the cadet, also watched, but his watching was different. He was looking for weakness, looking for a chance to prove that humans did not belong in Vanguard Division. 2 weeks into training, Commander announced a team combat simulation. Cadets would be divided into squads of 5. They would enter a virtual battlefield and fight against enemy programs. The squad with the highest score would earn extra privileges. The squad with the lowest score would clean the training grounds for a month. Was assigned to a squad with 2, 1, and 1. None of them wanted her there. "Great," the said when he saw the team list. His name was, and he was younger brother. "We have the human. We will definitely lose." The simulation began in a dark forest. Enemy robots attacked from all directions. The squad moved through the trees, fighting and advancing toward a target building. Everything went wrong. The enemy was stronger than expected. The was hit early and eliminated from the simulation. Then one of them fell into a trap. Then the other was surrounded. Fought bravely but was pushed back. The squad was falling apart. Moved through the chaos. She had been staying back, following orders, not drawing attention. But now 2 of her were injured and trapped. The enemy was closing in on them. She made a decision. ran toward the injured. Enemy robots turned to shoot at her. She dodged faster than she should have been able to. She reached the first and grabbed him. He weighed at least 90 kilograms. She lifted him over her shoulder and ran. She reached the second. Without stopping, she grabbed him too. Now she was carrying two bodies, nearly 200 kilograms total, while running through enemy fire. He stared with his mouth open. Carried both to safety behind a large rock. She set them down gently and checked their injuries. Virtual blood covered her uniform. The simulation ended moments later. They had failed the mission, but they had not lost any squad members. That counted for something. In the debriefing room, everyone was talking about what they had seen. Two, carried at the same time, by a human. Instructor Myra stood in the corner, a small smile on her blue lips. Approached, "How did you do that?" he demanded. "Humans cannot lift that much weight." "I was scared," said simply. "Fear gives strength." He did not believe her, but he could not prove otherwise. That night, Thresh found alone in a corridor near her quarters. He stepped in front of her, blocking her path. His 4 arms crossed over his chest. His many eyes looked down at her with hatred. "Lucky save today," he said. "You surprised everyone with your little trick." "I did what was needed." "You should not be here." He stepped closer. His hard shell clicked with each movement. "Vanguard Division is for warriors, not for soft, weak creatures from backwater planets." Looked up at him calmly. He was more than a meter taller than her. His claws were sharp enough to cut through bone. "I understand," she said. "Do you?" Thresh leaned down until his face was close to hers. "Next time, there will be no one to carry you. And when you fall, I will make sure everyone sees how pathetic humans really are." Simply bowed her head slightly. "Thank you for the warning." She walked around him and continued to her room. Behind her, Thresh made an angry clicking sound. She had not shown fear. She had not fought back. She had not given him anything he wanted. That confused him more than anything else. In her room was waiting with tea. "I heard what happened in the simulation, too, really." Took the tea and sat on her bed. "It was nothing." "It was not nothing. The whole station is talking about it." Sipped her tea and looked out the small window at the stars. "Then I made a mistake. I showed too much." "Or maybe," said gently, "you showed just enough." Thought about that. Maybe was right. Maybe it was time to let them wonder, let them ask questions. The truth would come out eventually. She could not hide forever. And somewhere deep inside, she did not want to hide anymore. The Academy doubted her strength. Then she lifted a Starship hull with bare hands. Part 3. The Incident. 1 month passed. Continued her training. She improved her scores slowly, carefully, never showing her full ability. The other cadets stopped talking about the simulation incident. They decided it was luck or exaggeration. Humans were still weak. Everyone knew that. Commander announced a special training exercise. All Vanguard cadets would spend 1 day at Orbital Shipyard Dock 7, helping the workers with Starship maintenance. He called it humility training. Even the greatest warriors needed to understand how ships were built and repaired. "A soldier who does not respect the engineers is a fool," said. "Today, you will work with your hands. You will learn." The shipyard was attached to the main station by a long connecting tunnel. When walked through the tunnel and entered the dock, her breath stopped for a moment. The shipyard was enormous. It was like a metal cave big enough to hold a mountain. Starships of all sizes hung from massive cranes. Workers in protective suits climbed over the hulls like ants on fruit. Sparks flew from welding tools. The sound of machines filled the air. Chief met the cadets at the entrance. He was human, one of the oldest humans working on the station. His hair was gray, and his hands were rough from decades of work. He had earned respect through skill and dedication. "Welcome to my shipyard," he said with a tired smile. "Try not to break anything expensive." The cadets were divided into groups and assigned to different work areas. A group was sent to Section 7, where workers were repairing a medium-sized military cruiser. The ship's hull had been damaged in a recent battle and needed new plating. Was also at the shipyard, working with the medical team that supported the workers. She waved at from across the dock, waved back. The work was hard but simple, helped carry tools and supplies. She cleaned metal surfaces. She held plates in place while workers attached them. The alien cadets complained about the boring tasks but found peace in the physical labor. It reminded her of the farm. Appeared during lunch break. He worked in the shipyard's engineering department and knew the place well. "How do you like it?" he asked, sitting next to. "It is good," she said. "Honest work." Most Vanguard cadets hate this exercise. They think it is beneath them. Shook her head. "My grandmother would say that no work is beneath anyone. Only lazy hearts think that way." Laughed. "I really want to meet this grandmother of yours. She died 3 years ago." "Oh, I am sorry." "Do not be. She lived a good life, and she taught me everything important." After lunch, the work continued. A massive crane moved overhead, carrying a new section of hull plating to the cruiser. The section was huge, at least 10 meters wide and 15 meters long. It weighed over 40,000 kilograms. Workers guided the crane with hand signals. Slowly, carefully, the hull section lowered toward the ship. Then something went wrong. A loud snap echoed through the shipyard. One of the crane's support cables broke, then another. The hull section tilted dangerously. Alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. "Cable failure," someone shouted. "Everyone move." Workers ran in all directions, but not everyone could escape. A group of 7 people were directly under the falling section. They had been preparing the attachment points. They were trapped between heavy equipment and had nowhere to go. Saw among them. Her friend's face was white with fear. The emergency tried to activate, but the system was too slow. The hull section was falling too fast. Commander shouted orders, rushed forward, but even they could not reach the trapped workers in time. The distance was too far. The section was falling too quickly. 40,000 kilograms of metal was about to crush 7 people. Did not think, she just moved. She ran faster than she had ever run at the academy. The light gravity of the station made her feel like she was flying. In 2 seconds, she crossed 30 meters. She reached the falling section just as it was about to hit the ground. And she caught it. Her hands slammed against the cold metal. Her feet pressed into the floor. Her muscles screamed. Her bones groaned. The weight was incredible even for her. On Earth, this would have been impossible, but here in this weak gravity she could hold it. Barely. Every muscle in her body was on fire. Her arms shook. Her legs felt like they would snap, but she held the section up, keeping it just high enough for the trapped workers to escape. "Move," she screamed. Her voice came out broken, squeezed from lungs that had no air to spare. "Move now." The workers unfroze. They scrambled out from under the section, crawling and running to safety. Was the last one out. She looked back at with tears in her eyes. "Go," gasped. Ran. The emergency systems finally activated. Support beams extended from the floor to catch the section. Felt the weight begin to transfer. But she did not just let it drop. Even now, she controlled the descent. She lowered the section slowly, carefully, making sure it would not bounce or roll. When the section finally rested on the support beams, stepped back. Her legs gave out. She fell to her knees. Her whole body was shaking. Her hands were burned from the friction of the metal. Her uniform was soaked with sweat. But she was smiling. The entire shipyard had stopped. Every worker, every cadet, every officer. Hundreds of beings from dozens of species stared at the small human woman kneeling on the floor. Complete silence. Then the whispers started. "Did she just That is impossible. 40,000 kilograms. Commander walked toward her slowly. His yellow reptilian eyes were wide. His mouth hung slightly open. He had seen many incredible things in his long military career. He had never seen anything like this. He stopped in front of and looked down at her. That section weighs 40,000 kilograms, he said. His voice was quiet, almost gentle. Looked up at him. Her breathing was heavy. Her body hurt everywhere, but her eyes were clear and calm. On Earth, she said between breaths, we call that Tuesday. Nobody laughed. Nobody made a sound. Chief pushed through the crowd. He had seen the whole thing. His old eyes were wet with tears. He knelt next to and put a hand on her shoulder. Thank you, he said. You saved 7 lives today, including people who never even knew your name. Ran back and hugged tightly. You stupid, brave, crazy woman, she cried. I thought you were going to die. I am fine, said weakly, just tired. Medical teams arrived and helped onto a stretcher. As they carried her toward the medical bay, she passed by the group of Vanguard cadets. The who had complained about having her on his team bowed his head as she passed. Thresh, the who had threatened her in the corridor, stood frozen. His many eyes could not look away from her. His mouth parts moved, but no sound came out. Instructor Myra stood at the back of the crowd. She was not surprised. She had known something was different about this human. Now everyone knew. As the stretcher moved through the shipyard, workers stopped their tasks to watch. Some saluted, some bowed, some simply stared with wonder. A human, a small, quiet, young human woman, had just held up a starship hull with her bare hands. The galaxy had just changed, and nothing would ever be the same. In the medical bay, closed her eyes. Her body was exhausted, but her heart was peaceful. She had not planned to reveal herself this way. But when she saw trapped under that falling metal, she had not hesitated. Some things were more important than secrets. Some things were more important than strategy. Her grandmother had taught her that too. Save who you can save, the old woman had said. The rest will work itself out. As drifted into sleep, she heard voices outside her room. Hundreds of voices, talking, arguing, questioning. The word was spreading. The humans were not weak after all. The Academy doubted her strength. Then she lifted a starship hull with bare hands. Part 4, The Revelation. Woke up in the medical bay. Bright lights shone above her. Machines beeped softly. Her whole body ached like she had been hit by a transport ship. Easy, a gentle voice said. You are safe. She turned her head, sat beside her bed, still wearing her work uniform from the shipyard. Her eyes were red from crying. How long was I asleep? Asked. 12 hours. The doctors said you pushed your body to its absolute limit. Another few seconds holding that section, and your bones would have cracked. Nodded slowly. She had felt how close she was to breaking, but everyone got out. Yes, all 7 workers are fine because of you, took her hand. The whole station knows what you did. It is all anyone is talking about. Admiral himself is asking questions. Before could respond, the door opened. Commander entered, followed by 2 officers and a medical doctor. His expression was different from before. The coldness was gone. Now he looked at her with something like respect, mixed with confusion. Cadet, he said, how are you feeling? Sore, sir, but alive. Good, he paused. The Admiral has requested a full investigation into what happened, not the accident, your abilities. We need to understand how a human did what you did. I understand, sir. The investigation team will need access to your genetic records, your training history, everything. Do you consent? Thought for a moment. There was no point hiding anymore. Yes, sir, I consent. Commander nodded. Rest now. The investigation begins tomorrow. 2 days later, stood in front of the station's General Assembly. The room was massive, with seats for over 1,000 officers and officials. Admiral sat at the center of the highest platform. He was an elderly with pale scales and tired eyes. He had commanded Station Helix 7 for 30 years. Every important person on the station was there. Military commanders, scientific researchers, diplomatic representatives from dozens of species, and in the corner, a group of human workers and cadets, including an chief. Stood alone in the center of the room. She felt very small. Admiral spoke first. 2 days ago, cadet of the Vanguard Combat Division lifted a 40,000-kilogram hull section to save 7 workers. This should have been physically impossible for a human. Our investigation team has completed their analysis. Doctor will present the findings. A scientist stood up. She had data screens floating around her head. Thank you, Admiral. Our team examined cadet physical records, genetic markers, and biological structure. What we found was remarkable. She touched one of the floating screens. A diagram of human bone appeared. Human bones are not weak. They are made of materials similar to the strongest bones. What makes them seem weak is that they evolved under much heavier conditions. Murmurs spread through the room. The gravity on Earth is 9.8 meters per second squared. Doctor paused to let that sink in. The galactic average for habitable planets is 3.7. Earth's gravity is nearly 3 times higher than what most species experience. The murmurs grew louder. This means that humans have been training against resistance their entire lives. Every step they take on their home world is like carrying weights. Every jump, every run, every movement builds strength that we did not understand. She showed more diagrams. Human muscles, human hearts, human lungs. Human cardiovascular systems are designed to pump blood against 3 times normal gravity. Human muscles are packed with dense fibers. Human bones are thick and heavily mineralized. On Earth, these features are necessary for basic survival. Here, in our light gravity environment, they give human strength far beyond what we expected. Admiral leaned forward. Are you saying that all humans have this potential? Yes, Admiral. All humans who grew up on Earth under full gravity have this potential. They have been living on what we would classify as a Class 7. Gasps filled the room. Class 7 were planets so dangerous that most species avoided them entirely. High gravity, extreme weather, dangerous predators. Nobody lived on such worlds by choice. There is more, Doctor continued. Cadet did not grow up in a city. She grew up on a mountain farm, doing physical labor since childhood. And before joining the academy, she served in Earth's military special forces for 4 years. The doctor looked directly at. Cadet is not just a normal human. She is an exceptional human who has trained her body to its highest potential. But even an average human has strength that rivals our mid-level species. Silence fell over the room. Stood up from the human section. Permission to speak, Admiral. Admiral nodded, granted. Walked to the center of the room and stood beside. I am an engineer. I have worked on this station for 5 years. Every day I have been told that humans are weak, that we belong in support roles, that we cannot compete with stronger species. He looked around the room at all the alien faces. We believed it. We believed what you told us, so we held back. We did not push ourselves. We did not try for combat roles or leadership positions. We accepted that we were less. His voice grew stronger. But we are not less. We just did not know what we were capable of. Our planet tried to kill us for millions of years, and we survived. We did not just survive. We became the dominant species. We built civilizations. We reached the stars. He pointed at, she is not special because she is different from other humans. She is special because she showed us what humans can really do. She reminded us who we are. The room was completely silent. Instructor Myra stood up. May I add something, Admiral? Please. Myra walked down from her seat. I have been watching Cadet since she arrived. I noticed from the first week that she was holding back. Her movements were too controlled. Her exhaustion was fake. I said nothing because I wanted to see what she would do. She turned to, "Why did you hide your strength?" Thought about how to answer. My brother told me to wait. He said that if I showed everything at once, people would see me as a threat. He said I should let them underestimate me first. And what changed? Looked at in the audience. My friend was going to die. I did not think about strategy. I just moved. Myra smiled. That is the answer of a true warrior. Strategy has its place, but when lives are at risk, you act. You did the right thing, Cadet. Admiral stood up. The room immediately went silent. I have heard enough. Based on the evidence presented, I am ordering several changes. He looked at, "Cadet, your courage and selflessness saved 7 lives. You have demonstrated abilities that force us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about humans. On behalf of Station Helix 7 and the Galactic Union military, I apologize for the doubts and disrespect you have faced." He bowed his massive reptilian head to her, a admiral bowing to a small human woman. "Furthermore," he continued, "I am ordering a full review of human classifications in all military and civilian roles. Humans will no longer be automatically assigned to support positions. They will be tested fairly and placed according to their actual abilities." Cheers erupted from the human section, was crying again, was laughing and clapping. "Finally," Admiral said, "I am promoting Cadet to squad leader effective immediately. She has earned it." Commander stepped forward. For a moment he just looked at. Then he placed his massive clawed hand over his chest, a sign of deep respect. "I was wrong about you," he said. "I was wrong about all humans. I will not make that mistake again." Bowed to him, "Thank you, Commander." That night called her brother. His face appeared on the screen, tired but happy. "I heard," said. "The whole galaxy heard. You lifted a starship hull, a starship hull." "I had no choice." "You always have a choice. You chose to save those people." He smiled proudly. "Mother and father would be so proud. Grandmother would be proud." Felt tears forming in her eyes. I wish she could have seen it. "She did," said softly. "She is watching, I am sure of it." After the call ended, stood by her window and looked out at the stars. Everything was different now. The secret was out. Humans were no longer the weak species hiding in the background. They were survivors, and the galaxy was just beginning to understand what that meant. Touched the photograph of her grandmother's farm. "We showed them," she whispered, "and this is just the beginning." The Academy doubted her strength. Then she lifted a starship hull with bare hands. Part 5: The New Dawn. 6 months had passed since lifted the starship hull. Everything had changed. News of what happened at Station Helix 7 spread across the galaxy like fire. Every planet, every station, every colony heard the story. A small human woman had caught 40,000 kilograms of falling metal with her bare hands. Scientists released reports about Earth's gravity. Documentary makers traveled to Earth to film its dangerous wildlife and harsh weather. The Galactic Union officially reclassified Earth as a Class 7. And humans started to walk taller. Applications to the Academy from Earth increased tenfold. Young men and women who had never considered military careers suddenly wanted to prove themselves. Humans already serving in support roles requested transfers to combat divisions. Some were. Many were tested and found to have abilities far beyond what their records showed. They had been holding back their whole lives. Now they stopped. Stood on a balcony overlooking the Academy's main courtyard. A new class of cadets had arrived that morning. She counted at least 50 humans among them. They wore their gray uniforms proudly. They did not look down when alien cadets walked past them. Joined her on the balcony. She had been promoted too, now leading the medical support team for the entire Vanguard division. "Remember when you were the only human here?" asked. I remember when I was not sure I would survive the first week, said with a small laugh. And now you are squad leader, Commander's favorite student, a legend. I am not a legend. I am just a farmer's daughter who got lucky. You are both, said. That is what makes you special. Below them, cadets began morning exercises. Squad was easy to spot. They moved together with perfect coordination. 2, 1, 1, 1, and 2 humans, a mixed team that worked as one. The inner squad was Thresh. After the assembly 6 months ago, Thresh had come to his room. He had not apologized with words. He simply bowed his head and waited. In his culture, that was enough. Had accepted his gesture. When she became squad leader, she requested him for her team. Why? Commander had asked. Because he is strong, skilled, and proud, had answered. Those are good qualities. He just needed to learn humility. I can teach him that. Thresh had learned. He followed her orders without complaint. He trained harder than anyone else. In their last 3 combat exercises, he had saved his life twice. Not because he had to, because he wanted to. That morning, new orders arrived. A hostile force had attacked a civilian colony in the outer sectors. The attackers were called a species that refused to join the Galactic Union. They believed that the strong should rule the weak. They took what they wanted and destroyed the rest. Commander called all squad leaders to the briefing room. The hit outpost Sierra 4 at dawn, he explained. A map appeared on the wall showing a small planet with 1 settlement. Population 3,000, mixed species. They have taken hostages and are demanding payment. If we do not pay within 48 hours, they will start killing civilians. Our orders, sir, asked the squad leader. Rescue operation. 3 squads will deploy. Your squad will take the main entrance. Squad 7 will take the rear. Squad 9 will provide cover and evacuation support. Study the map. Sir, the main entrance is heavily defended. It looks like a trap. It is a trap, agreed. They expect us to try the sides or the back. They have placed their weakest forces at the main entrance to draw us in. But if we can break through fast enough, we can reach the hostages before they can react. You want us to walk into the trap on purpose. I want you to walk through the trap. Your squad has the best chance of doing that. Understood. A squad with humans could move faster and hit harder than the expected. The trap would become a mistake. We will do it, sir. Hours later, squad landed on outpost Sierra 4. The colony was burning. Smoke rose from damaged buildings. Bodies lay in the streets. They had shown no mercy. Felt anger rise in her chest. She pushed it down. Anger was useful, but only when controlled. Squad, form up, she ordered through her communicator. Standard breach formation. Thresh, you take point. Humans with me at center, cover our flanks. Understood, squad leader, came the replies. They moved through the streets like shadows. The main entrance was a large metal gate. Behind it, they could hear soldiers talking in their rough language. Thresh looked at how many. Scanning says 12, but there are more hiding. A trap. Yes, are you ready? Thresh's mouth parts clicked in what had learned was a smile. I'm ready to follow you anywhere, squad leader. Nodded, then she moved. She hit the gate with her full strength. The metal bent like paper. She tore it off its supports and threw it at the nearest group of enemies. 3 went down before they could raise their weapons. Her squad poured through the opening. Thresh's 4 arms moved in a blur, his blades cutting through armor. They fired with perfect accuracy. The human soldiers fought with speed and power that shocked them completely. The hidden enemies appeared from side doors and rooftops, exactly as had predicted. But squad was too fast. They cut through the ambush like a knife through water. In 4 minutes, the main entrance was clear. They found the hostages in the colony's central building. 300 civilians huddled in a large room, guarded by 20 soldiers. When squad burst through the door, the guards tried to fight. They did not last long. One soldier, the commander, grabbed a young alien child and held a blade to her throat. "Stop," he screamed. "Stop or I kill her." The squad froze. The commander was shaking. His eyes were wild with fear. "You are monsters," he spat at. "Your kind should have stayed on your death planet." Stepped forward slowly. "Let her go." "Stay back, I will kill her." Kept walking. Her eyes never left the commander's face. "You will not kill her, because if you do, I will make sure you suffer before you die, and you know I can do it." This hand shook harder. He had seen what humans could do. He had seen tear through his soldiers like they were made of straw. "But if you let her go," continued, "I will let you live. You will go to prison, but you will live, your choice." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the commander dropped his blade and released the child. Caught the little girl before she could fall. She was no more than 6 years old, with pale blue skin wet with tears. "Are you okay?" asked gently. The child looked up at her with wide white eyes. Are you human?" "Yes." "Are all humans like you?" Smiled and set the girl down gently. She thought about the question. She thought about her grandmother on the mountain farm. She thought about flying ships across the galaxy. She thought about healing the wounded. She thought about building machines. She thought about all the humans she had ever known. "No," she said. "Some are stronger, some are kinder, some are braver. I am just the one who showed up today." The child hugged her leg tightly. "Thank you for showing up." The rescue operation was a complete success. All hostages were recovered safely. The force was destroyed or captured. Not a single member of squad was seriously injured. 1 month later, stood again on the balcony of the academy. It was graduation day. Below her, hundreds of cadets received their assignments. Humans stood among them as equals, no longer hidden, no longer holding back. Joined her carrying 2 cups of tea, thinking about the future. Thinking about the past, said, and how much has changed. All because one woman lifted a Starship hull. Shook her head. No, all because that woman had a grandmother who taught her that strength comes from struggle, and a brother who believed in her, and friends who stood beside her. She looked at. I did not change anything alone. Arrived slightly out of breath. Am I late? Just in time, said. The 3 humans stood together, watching the ceremony below. New officers, new soldiers, new hope. They used to doubt us, said quietly. Not anymore, replied. Sipped her tea and smiled. Below, a young human woman received her assignment to the Vanguard Division. She looked up at the balcony where stood and saluted. Saluted back. The galaxy was vast. It held countless dangers and countless wonders, but humanity was no longer afraid. They had proven themselves. They had earned their place among the stars. And this was truly just the beginning. Far away, on a mountain farm in Provence, wind blew through the old apple trees that's grandmother had planted. The farmhouse still stood, strong and weathered. Inside, on a small shelf, sat a picture of a young girl holding a water bucket. Written on the back of the picture, in her grandmother's careful handwriting, were words that had carried with her across the galaxy. The strongest trees grow on the steepest mountains. Never forget where you came from. Never doubt where you can go. Never forgot. And she never stopped climbing.